Okay, just a quick little mention of something. I'm learning every day about these things. I'm not familiar that much with, well, I'm getting there, mobile home plumbing as opposed to standard household plumbing, and it's different. So if you got black PVC like this in your mobile home, which you probably do, 1.5 inch, this is not the same as the 1.5 inch PVC you will have in a regular home, such as this. This is a 1.5 inch. Not different. Significance of that is, even the coupling, you want to put coupling, you gotta have a very specific coupling for these mobile home deal. So when I took this drain off of here, the P-trap, when I was working on this, I found this little T-washer, which is normally what goes on here. This little flange washer. It's very interesting though, because this is a 1.5 inch flange washer that generally goes on there. Ooh, I wonder if I have a, I don't know if I have a, well, I know I do, but if I have a nut to show you, I want to put on there. So if you buy a basket, it comes with a little flange washer and a metal nut that goes over that. So special little metal nut that goes and holds the PVC, the little flange that goes up against here. There's a little T piece. These are different. This is what you got. It's got its own little nut attached in there. It's permanently part of the deal. So if you get a, say, oh no big deal, I just need a couple of T-washers, because mine had this one in there, which actually was in there. Fits. I don't know what the heck this is, because the 1.5 inch T-washer, it should go in there like so, does not fit in there. You can see the inside diameter of this is too big. Found out today that, oh, and on the other side just had a somebody had cut a piece of rubber gasket. Well, it turns out the correct pieces are these rubber washers. You go to a mobile home store, that's what goes in there. I'll put these on. I'm gonna try to lube them up a little bit. If nothing else, I'll just wet them so that they'll this nut will tighten up against it without twisting it. But that is what goes on there. So when you put this basket to the basket, it tightens up and seals that up. Where am I at? Makes you a watertight seal there. Learn something new every day. So if you run into this problem, you got your plumbing and you're going to get well, actually it would be, if it would really show up if you were to buy some new baskets for your sink and install these and then try to put those flange washers in there, because they're not gonna, geez, cameraman sucks, doesn't he? They're not gonna fit inside this. And if you didn't notice that, first you're gonna have an awful hard time getting them up in there. If you did manage to force them in there, these would probably be twisted around and this thing's gonna leak like a sieve, and you're gonna go, I don't know what the heck's going on. So anyway, in case you're not familiar with that, this is something I discovered. Mobile home store. It's their safest bet, because Lowe's doesn't carry, well, actually I don't know. I wasn't actually looking for these at Lowe's. They probably do have these, but you have to know that that's what you're looking for. It's funny because you look at them. This old flange washer is actually a little smaller than the diameter of this basket, whereas the actual 1.5 that normally goes with it kind of like sticks out a little bit. Compare that to the rubber gasket. Yeah, rubber gasket sticks out a little bit too, so looks like the real deal. Alright, just a little quick tidbit on some plumbing differences. Okay, while I'm at it, I just figured I'd throw this in there when you I got the sink out and getting ready to install the faucet and everything. You can see where cucarachas have, over the years, had their little egg cases. Anyway, what I want to show you is, this is underneath the faucet. So the faucets generally come with a little plastic gasket thing or something, and they always tell you, use plumber's putty along the inside, which should be on the back side, when you put that sucker down, so it doesn't leak. And so you might not notice it leaking, but this is years of water leaks. This is all calcium coming out of the hard water. And this is even the place where the sprayer was. So you can see they were leaking. And look at this. These are the ones on the side. They held up this line. A little bit over here, which tells me it was leaking over there too. This is 100% water leakage underneath your sink. So when we put this in, not only are we going to seal up underneath the faucet, I don't think we have anything to go in. Oh yes we do, we got a soap thing I salvaged from somewhere, that'll go in there. But when I install this thing, I am going to be sealing this. This entire thing is going to get some white kitchen silicone, 100% silicone around this head, and you can see where they already had it was sealed a little bit over in here. See all this? Somebody took half a shot at it, but judging by all the rest of this, and especially by how rusted that is, now it's strong enough. It's still attached with its spot welds. You can see a little more silicone there. So I'm going to go ahead and use it. I have another one, but this one was installed. I know it fits the right place. Plumbing and everything. All the piping's right for it. So, just to mention that, I'm going to clean all this stuff off here because the other one's got, going to have big nuts that go down around that, and it'll just be harder to get them on there because it's all rough. And a lot of this little rust and stuff will just polish off of there. Did the whole inside of the thing, just use some Comet to get rid of the rust and the stains and stuff. So I just wanted to mention that just in case you think, no big deal, that gasket will seal it up. Yeah, it won't. Everything around here, the water needs to be sealed, otherwise it'll be dripping down into the bottom of your cabinet, as this one did, and you'll be looking in there and you'll be wondering why your the floor of your cabinet in there is drooping and coming apart and swelling up and all. That's because all this water is dripping down there. You may not even notice. So the ounce of prevention thing save you a lot of trouble down the road, and that's something you keep an eye on. Whenever you clean up on there, if you see any water dripping down there, you need to take care of it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with losing the whole cabinet floor, if not worse. Termites love water. You get some water in there, it gets to the wood, gets to the studs. Yummy, yummy. So, there you go. Just a couple of thoughts. Alright, getting ready to put my sink in, and I have run a nice big fat bead of white silicone all around the outside here, and I'm going to drop the sink down on top of that and see how that works. It's going to keep any water from going down beyond that. Don't want any water in the cabin below it. And have it sitting on some horses so I can drop it down there. I'm going to have to go up underneath it and put the little locky dealies in to hold the, actually they go in there like that, to hold the sink in case you're not familiar with that. Let's just do a quick little sinky deal. So your sink has these little channels on them. The way these go is they go in here and then they fall out. Hold on. They're actually backwards if you put them in this way. Alright, so they go in there. The counter will be right here, of course, and you basically turn these screwdriver, little slot in there, and this clamps the whole thing down. There's also a little cutouts So you can put these in the middle when you do it. So even these are rusted up, but they're still intact. So if you go to the edge, you put them into the edge. If you get it near the middle, there's always a little cutout. You can just slide them over that way. So once I got this sitting in there, I'm going to reach up underneath there and put those suckers in there. Tighten it as I go around. Drop this thing in place. And we'll be ready to see about hooking it up. Okay, so I got it sealed up. Still curing a little bit. Dropped it on place. So close, but yet so far. Just as an example of it ain't over till it's over. The faucet came with its own lines. And wouldn't you know it, they are, look at that. I could technically get that one installed, but the other one's a little far off. And the little double valve, the only double valve I could find that has a 3/8, it's a 1/2 inch female, a 3-inch male coming out the side, compression fitting for this to hook to, and then it's got a 1/4 inch compression port on the other side, which would be to go to the refrigerator ice maker. It's oriented on the side, so it mounts, so the two ports come off the sides with the mounts on the bottom. So when it gets up there, this means the hot water line or the cool water line has to be where I has to mount sideways. So I'm going to go ahead and pick these up about 12 inches just so there's plenty of room, which means I'm just going to put female adapters onto the bottom, which will screw onto the male adapters. Come up and put another male adapters on the top of that. Stick those two valves on top of these. So, oh well, I put a side on over here. I'll have to drill a hole that for the 1/4 inch line going that way, but no big deal. So this is basically how it goes. All I got to do is that. It's never over till it's over. Alright. Next stop back to the home improvement store. Grab me some more fittings, and hopefully I have this glued up. If nothing else today, it won't be finished because I'm going to let those cure when I get those fittings on there first. Okay, fill the gap in the back. I built this pretty much the same as I built that. Unfortunately, I gotta figure a way to menanger this thing out of the way, move the fridge out of the way, so I can get that in there. And then I'm gonna put a shelf in the bottom down here, and maybe another shelf in the middle. And right now I just have these. I'm just gonna roughly stick those in there because they fit really nice. I'm gonna put some tracks on them. Maybe I won't. Just kind of tweaked on it. Yeah, we'll see when it goes in there. Alright, so I gotta figure out how to get that in there. Well, I might as well go ahead and put a shelf or two on it. I have to get this moved out of the way, so I just gotta be careful because I'm tight up against in there. Actually, I need to take those valves off anyway and put the extensions on them, so yeah, we'll see. Worst case scenario, I'll have to take that part apart if I can figure that out. Alright, and I did put a hand on this one here. Looks like I'm making a beer cooler. Alright, let's see what it takes to get that. Make these two shelves. Keep on going. Alright, there's a rough assembly. Put 2 shelves on it. A couple more cross pieces. Looks kind of weird. If I look down on it, it looks kind of tweaked. But we'll see when I get it in there and put the other piece up against it. It may just have to pull it flat or something. But able to pull this little piece out here from the valves and move that board over and just slide this whole thing over. So hopefully I can pick this straight up and drop it straight on in there. And otherwise I'm going to have to take off the end piece over there so I can just keep sliding this thing farther down, but let's see how it looks, if I can get it in there. So despite the tweakish look to it, it actually looks good. Straight up on there, straight down there. I'll just put a couple of screws in there to hold it. That's all it's going to need. I'll go ahead and screw those pieces down now that they're I just want to make sure this thing got it in place before I screw that down, in case that has to be altered just a little bit. I'll put some gap in here just to make it easier to get it in there, because I may have to cut. Can't, the countertop comes right there. Well, you never know, I may have to cut the countertop. This is going to have to come out of here pretty soon, so we'll see about that too. Now I can get to my valves easy anyway and put those little extensions on them. So looks good. Now I just got to make the other little piece that goes over there, and 9 inches. Oh, we'll do that. Rough that in. See how it goes. All right, this is the extra piece I had. I got a lot of extra pieces. The countertop. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. I'll do that by freehand, but this one I am going to, I made this 23.5, so it's not so, so I got a little gap on the stove. This one I want straight, so I'm going to set up my clamps and my level as a guide, since I'm too lazy to get out my little table saw. So I'm going to go ahead and whack that first, and then we'll clamp up the other one and do that nice straight. Okay, we're set up 1 1/4 inch offset, which is pretty screwy because this saw's tweaked. So you'll notice it doesn't line up on the line there. I'm going by the saw blade itself. You can see the blade, I'm out just a tad on the outside of that line, and that's where it lines up. This thing is screwed. Should be lined right up on that thing, right in that groove there. Anyway, that's what we're going to do. Theoretically, we should get a nice straight line. We'll go nice and slow. Well, it worked on smaller, thinner material. It's not going to work on this. The angle of that blade to the guide is too far off. Let's dig it into the, trying to go there, and it can't because it's holding up in there, so it's jamming, so I'm going to have to do it freehand. Already kind of went bad. That's why I try to stay outside the line. Well, let me get rid of this and see what happens with this not so great saw here. Alright, well, it didn't come out perfect, but the hot ticket, it was going bad again, was to adjust the blade. So it was just down to where the cutouts are. It was too long in there. It seemed to be twisting too much. Boy, this thing is tweaked bad. Anyway, not look too bad. Clean that up. That'll be the wall side, so you'll never really see it anyway. Let's go see if it fits. Okay, this is probably as far as I'm going to get today. This is this weekend results. So I did manage to get the main structure tied together, and well, this illustrates one of the things about making stuff out of other stuff. As we used to say, as I used to say, back when we used to rebuild helicopters. How does it go? The art of rebuilding helicopters, how does it go? It's the process of using parts from different origins to meet a set of seemingly ever-changing pre-existing conditions. I made that up myself. Meaning that you take parts, the same parts, off a like model that should be exactly alike. The holes should be in the same place. And you try to take them over and put them on the ship you're working on, and seemingly things have changed. Turns out the holes aren't drilled in the same place. You measure something once and you put it together, and everything you do, you use the same dimensions. For instance, this cabinet, the length across the top, the width, that entire countertop. Now mind you, this countertop's pretty stiff, so everything that was put on there pretty much conforms to that countertop. There's the the basis, that's the starting point. So all the verticals are the same size, all the horizontals are the same size. Once you put it together, everything should fit and everything should be nice and square and vertical and the whole deal. Unfortunately, with mobile homes, even though I rebuilt this floor and it was all basically level, I had to redo the, not sure if that video is out there or not, if I lost it. All the 2x6, the joists, the end plates, everything was basically level. And then there's 3/4 inch plywood on top of that. And then there's laminate flooring on top of that. Seemingly it never comes out completely level. My living room has got a dip in it to the wall over there because I leveled it over here and had to dip into fit underneath the wall. So it's not perfect. What am I getting to? So I had to put these doors on here, which I salvaged. Of course, they're upside down from where they were because they used to be upper counts. So I'm trying to get them to line up perfectly. Look at this. So I'm putting this thing, trying to get it to come out straight here. Of course, this is what counts. You know, you want to look at this, you want them straight across. You can tweak this a little bit, but so I put a little piece of that trim over there up against here to make sure it has enough room to open up, and the hinges open up. So I ended up having to, in order to do that, I had to add a 1/2 inch down here. It's like, that's crazy. How on earth could that possibly be? Didn't even bother to check it. I knew what the answer is going to be. And if you can see that, my door is vertical. The door is vertical. It's pretty much close to horizontal. What's the counter look like anyway? Just out of curiosity. Look at that. The counter's perfect. So this is good. So I know this is good because this lines up with that. So where's the problem? Well, I don't know if you can see that. That's a complete bubble off level, which means that this thing should be over like basically like that. That's where it ought to be, but it's not. It's kind of strange, but said all these pieces are the same length. This thing should be square. Now I'm assuming it's sitting flat to the floor, which is what I'm going to say the problem is. It's sitting flat on the floor. The floor is not perfectly level. I'm saying this stuff. I have this thing right in my face. I say that, but I don't know if you can see that. That's pretty close to being level. So it's kind of odd. The floor is level, but the way it's sitting, it's what I end up with. But that's what you get for I'm just building this thing in place. It doesn't have to be perfect. I said I salvaged some doors. Everything's where it belongs, so we're almost to the point. I just gotta get a new sink, hook it up, and I'll be able to use the sink in here, and then I'll worry about doing the rest of that and how I'm gonna build shelves that slide out or whatever. So anyway, this weekend I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna call that a winner, even though it doesn't seem to make any sense. Flat floor, flat top, pieces in the middle. It shouldn't be tweaked. Somehow it's tweaked. Don't care. It's gonna sit like that. Doors look pretty good. This one I gotta be careful because that's gotta open. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do there, other than cut this back so that I can move this over, or cut this a little bit, but that's not going to do any good for the door because it's over that much. Anyhow, that's going to be a wrap for this weekend, I think. I'm going to call it good enough.